Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Bruno Talks with a video podcast series when I'm meeting the creators from all over the world. One of the reasons why I picked a video format is that I want to bring their faces. I want to bring their voice. I want to, to present to you where they are coming from. I mean, from home, from living room, from kitchen, from office, from wherever. So yeah, that you can always go check their profile pictures, but this is one thing that I try to bring into the game. My today's guest is Krupali Patel, co-founder of Kiba Labs and EveryPage. We will be talking about product management and also, especially when it comes to managing your own side project. And Krupali will say a few words about that. So, but just to start, hi Krupali, what are you doing? What are you doing these days? Who is Krupali? So, yeah, start with the introduction.
Yeah, hello. I think you know my name, Krupali. I'm kind of, I want to say, new to the indie hackers world and space, probably since the beginning of this year. I think a lot of people are, especially with the lockdown and having more time to work on projects that you kind of have a passion about, similar to Bruno, who's started a podcast, which is super exciting. So yeah, that's me, just kind of a newish indie hacker, I want to say.
And you are coming from a management consulting background. I mean, I know it because we send a few messages here.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where I kind of started my career. I studied business management and quite a broad topic, so I was kind of like, I could do lots of things. And then I joined the graduate scheme at Ernst & Young, and that was a great experience. So many projects working with financial services clients where it was a great place to kind of learn and grow, the first chapter of my career. And yeah, just worked on loads of projects around transformation and change, worked with really big clients on huge teams of hundreds of people, worked with smaller teams on things like proposals and pitching new things to clients. Yeah, really enjoyed that. And then end of last year, I made a decision just to think about the next chapter in my career. And you learn the skills that not just you're good at, but that you actually enjoy. Because there's some skills you pick up that you don't necessarily want to keep doing. So yeah, I think I just had a little think about what's next, and now looking for that next role. But yeah, in the meantime, I thought in lockdown, how can I enhance and grow my skills rather than just like online training and things like that? I thought, let me just get my skills to use on a real product.
And how that happened? I mean, that the specific transition, when the moment when you realize that you want to do less of what you were doing before and start doing more of, was it like kind of, let's say, overnight decision, or is it like summing up?
I think at various stages in my career, every couple of years, it's kind of like you have that point where you're thinking, what's next for me? What's the next year goal, or what's the 5-year goal, 10-year goal? And so there were points where I thought, what else could I be doing? Because with consulting and project management, you have such transferable skills that there's so much you can do, which is one of the reasons why I studied business management and then worked in consulting, because of that range. So yeah, I think there were some points where I kind of thought, do I enjoy project-based work, or would I like to just work in one team focused on one project or one product? And then I think like every project that came, sometimes it was on a topic that I was really passionate about, worked with a great team, and I thought, yeah, I enjoy this. And then there were other projects where you kind of think, oh, I want to do something more exciting. And so yeah, I think at various stages I thought about it, but only at the end of last year I really thought, I'd been there for 6 years, and I'd got a level of experience that I was just then increasing, but not really learning new skills. So then I thought, yeah, I just want to, I think what happened is I spoke to a lot of colleagues who'd left EY, and then they go on different paths. You can work for your within your industry. So let's say a banking client, some had gone into a different consulting kind of field, and then some had gone into product management. And so that was really where, you use those core consulting skills, kind of like stakeholder management, where you're not only working with like senior stakeholders at your client, but you're also working with developer teams, and, managing that different relationship is very different. I think managing a senior demanding stakeholder to a developer who sometimes just doesn't want to talk to you. And so you just learn those kind of things. And that's what my ex-colleagues were saying, that is very much appreciated in a product management type role. So then I started thinking more about, looking at job specs about what skills are needed, speaking to people who've made the move and what works well in your skill set and what is missing. And then I think that's when I thought, actually, I'm not going to learn until I start doing it. So I thought, let me just, on my own kind of cuff, just start working on a product and start seeing, like, do I have the skills? Do I enjoy it? And I think it's really enforced to me that actually it's really fun, like, speaking to users, looking at your market, understanding your problem, building a solution, and then like seeing the success and users validating that this is what they want. So yeah, I think it's validated to me that, yeah, this is what I want and it's fun.
And one could say that you have kind of an advantage here because you are starting with some already skills that are already necessary and needed when you are starting your own product. I mean, a lot of indie hackers are. I mean, I'm a developer, and when I started playing around with some of my products, that wasn't so successful so far, but I felt that I'm lacking a lot of those I wouldn't say soft skills, but marketing, sales, communication. I mean, we all know how to communicate, but when you are launching your product, it's important what
you're wearing the hat of so many team members. You're not at a position where you can have a full team of, like you said, sales, marketing, and learning all of that kind of on the job and having to just pick it up is definitely a challenge. And I've spoken to a lot of people who are in that similar position where you do want to keep talking to your users and you do want to keep making your product, but there's just one of you and you have to do all of that. So yeah, it is exciting, but definitely also challenging.
In the beginning, I said you were working on EveryPage and even EverySize. So there are kind of different products. So can you tell us a little bit about first about those products? What are you doing? What are you creating there? And I don't know, maybe some everyday routine. So what's your everyday tasks? What's your job look like?
Yeah, I'd love to share. I think at the beginning you mentioned I'm a co-founder of Kiba Labs, so that's the company, and we're building a couple of products. So EverySize was the first product that I worked on, which was a developer tool to look at how your website will look in different devices. So I think what I did, I spoke to a few users who develop apps or develop web pages or Chrome extensions and things like that about how they actually how they test what their page looks like. And a lot of them were doing that manually. So, looking at how it looks on a 13-inch and then how it looks on an iPhone and then a Samsung. And that's quite manual. And every time you update your site, you'd have to follow that process again. So, the number of steps involved on sometimes a daily basis, sometimes a weekly basis, we thought there's something that we can do. And it actually started by kind of scratching our own itch where we were trying to look at what our webpage looked like. Then I spoke to those users. I understood that there was actually a problem for it. First, we thought maybe we just want to solve it because it's a problem for us. And then quickly tried to build something, not spend too long working on it and making it look pretty. And it wasn't something that we were trying to launch for any monetization strategies. It was purely basically for me to think about the problem, really understand it, and then kind of build that solution. And so yeah, we actually launched that one on ProductHunt, just to kind of go through the cycle. Matt had this checklist that really helped us to get ready for it and think about it. So I like to think of it as kind of like a good test run for EveryPage. And then yeah, EveryPage was another one that was born out of an idea of something else. So the team at Kiba Labs also had an idea for a developer tool, a documentation tool for developers. And we just wanted to get a web page up that quickly told people, this is what we do, these are a few key features, sign up if you're interested, just to help us validate that actually people do have this problem, they're interested in it, and then before we actually start building something. Because I think a lot of people, and you've probably heard this as well, Bruno, that you start working on something, build it, try and make it look pretty, launch it, and then people are kind of like, that's not actually what I want, or it's better to get validation as early as possible. So yeah, that's what we wanted to do. But what we found is it was just a 2-person team at the moment. Have a few people helping us, not on a full-time basis, but 2 full-time people. And the other co-founder is a technical guy, and I'm non-technical, so I have no coding knowledge as such, and yeah, that's about it. So my idea of building a website would be using one of the hundreds of drag and drop builders out there to make something that looks pretty is what I would be doing. And then the developer, he's kind of no, we need to make sure it's performing well, and SEO is enhanced, and he could build it himself rather than paying for a pretty design, which to him, he says, looks like a pretty PowerPoint. So we thought, okay, maybe there's something in between. And I guess not just that creating that first version would be very different for both of us, but we'd like to both have involvement in updating the copy. So initially we're telling users what they can expect, but when we launch, we'll want to update it. And it shouldn't be that he's not able to use the drag and drop and I'm not able to code it. So we thought, let's find something in between that everyone in the team can get involved with, whether you're in sales or marketing or product or on the technical side. You can update the page, because I think a lot of teams are like, let's get the developer to update the page, when really they don't have to do it. It's just because he or she has the skills. So yeah, we then thought, okay, let's scratch our own itch and build this web page builder. And then again, it was kind of like, this is for us, but let's speak to other people about how they do it and if they have the problem. And then, yeah, just building it is in an early launch at the moment. But yeah, that's the 2 products. Hopefully I answered the question. I can't remember now.
Yeah. The first part, I will repeat the second part. Yeah, but I will just want to say a few words, to reflect on that. So yeah, it's kind of a perfect match. So 2 co-founders, when both of them have different skill sets, and they are looking at the problem from the different perspective. So yeah, and your product is, in the end, is a combination of both worlds, and that both of you can sit together and start working. And as you said, every person in a team. And yeah, I liked what you did with EverySize and the test launch on ProductHunt. I did something similar with the very, let's say, dummy project, but I wanted to go through the whole process, because now launching on ProductHunt is kind of like, everyone is talking about, and you have to do it, and you have to do it right, and etc. etc. Not really a big deal. That's totally topic for itself, but
yeah. But yeah, do you get hunted? Do you launch it yourself? Do you do it at this time, or morning or evening, or
But in general, this is a cool strategy, so that you don't stress too much. Just launch something. I don't know, some mini project, or something that you are just working, and just to see the technical details, how it goes with launching itself. Yeah, and if I understood correctly, so you build a kind of, now speaking of EveryPage, so it's kind of a tool where you, write how you want your page to look like, and in the end you have that page which can provide some values, like kind of landing page or whatever, that what you are offering. And for me, this is a kind of a nice thing, because sometimes you want to edit and quickly refresh and, or I don't know, change some copy or whatever. And this seems like you reduce the amount of time that you need from the moment that you open the document till the moment it's there. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's the declarative sense that we really try to emphasize, in the sense that you're literally just saying what you want to be written. You're not, I mean, design is definitely important. I think we all, when we see a pretty website, you generally feel like you want to read it. But I think copy does come first, because for someone to reach your site, you need to have that copy there that has the right words in it, has the right kind of enough connection to your users or potential users. That all needs to come first in our minds.
And now I'm coming to the second part of that question. I asked you, what does your, I mean, daily tasks?
Yeah, and I think it ties back to the subject of this in terms of product manage your side project. So I think it does depend what team you work with and your time zones and things like that. But for me, we've managed to have a daily stand-up. So, every morning we'll talk about, well, actually backtracking one step, every Sunday we'll plan what do we want to accomplish this week. So our sprint is a week long, and we'll think about, are there any key features that users have mentioned, or, not even key features, but what feedback are we receiving, and then thinking about features, because sometimes users will say, oh, maybe if you had this, it would be good, but they think that's the answer, but really they've got a problem that can be solved a number of ways. So really thinking about what we're doing, all tailored around the user. And then, think about what we want to do. Also think about, do a little retrospective about what's worked well, what could be better, what should we start doing? And then, just plan that. Try and have as many kind of quick wins in the week, so that we are regularly kind of updating our landing page, or updating our product, or updating our community. So just making sure we're active. And then, on a daily basis, having a stand up just to see, are we on track with any goals we have this week, or what's, holding us back. And then being realistic, because it's a side project that at the moment we have a lot of time to focus on, whilst I'm in between roles, and just generally in lockdown we have a little bit more personal time, but then balancing with other priorities, what can we actually accomplish. And I think at the beginning that was the hard bit, that you kind of want to solve all the problems and you want to do everything, but then trying to do that, you almost get to nothing because you're trying to do too much. So I think each day is composed of kind of making sure we've got enough quick wins and activity happening to stay kind of like relevant and active within our community.
And all of these activities are, I mean, more or less like working on every project. I mean, they are similar, but I want to hear your perspective about the difference when you are working for somebody else's project and when you are working for your own. I mean, there is definitely a difference, probably. So I want to hear.
Yeah, there's similarities and differences. So like, I used to have daily stand-ups as part of my projects, but then I would never imagine doing that kind of personally out of choice. So that's similar. But what's different is I have a lot more space to shape what I'm doing. And, it's a smaller team. So naturally you have that ability to kind of hold your voice a bit more and kind of say, I think it should work this way, and actually do it, which makes it quite fun. What else is different? Well, at the moment, remote, so not traveling in. And sometimes I liked that traveling into work, where you kind of you think a little bit about what your day is composed of, but you also have a little bit of time to switch off. And then, like, when you enter the office, it's like on mode. So that's quite different. And I think, like I said, it is quite fun. So then it feels like at the end of the day, oh no, like, I'll quickly eat and then I'll do a bit more, because you're really like enjoying it, and it's not that, oh God, I haven't finished my work and I have to work late tonight. It's actually like, oh, I want to, and this is quite fun. So that's quite different in a good way. And then what else? I don't know, I guess for you, do you find anything different in terms of when you've got both going on and working on your own projects? Anything similar, different?
So yeah, it's definitely a kind of a binary switch when you are working remote. So now you just working from home and you just start working. You don't have that. So, and do you? I mean, are you UK based remote or from some other
UK
parts?
Based and in London. Both of us are in London at the moment, so it's interesting actually. I don't really think about the products I'm building, whether the location of like my customers and things, but that's another thing that makes working later a bit more useful, is that a lot of our customers come from like the US and India, so it's those different time zones, and just making sure that I am available if users want to talk, and having a bit more flexibility on that. I think remote working helps with that for sure. Not to say that like I'm really regularly working late or anything, but I think it does help. Did you have
any situation where you have to wake up in the middle of the night or something like that?
No, nothing like that yet.
Luckily.
And to be honest, I think at the beginning it works to have that non-scalable approach where you spend a lot of one-to-one time with users and really like understand them, fix problems for them as soon as you can. I mean, you might always do that, but just like spending a lot more one-on-one time. Even, some at the moment, I'm focusing on building a landing page before launching your product. So for a lot of those teams, it's kind of like early on, you don't have the resources like someone to fully focus on it. And so I'm spending time to help people build their sites for them. And all of that, it's, you're not going to be able to do that for every user forever, but I think it's a good learning for me and to help our users and build that good connection.
And you mentioned a few times that part of your job is also to speak to users. So from your perspective, when you are building a fresh new product and when you have to approach users, dozens of users, or I don't know, hundreds of users, sometimes it depends on the use case, so what you are building. So what would you say, would you suggest, or I mean, what's the first step in accomplishing this task? So you need to talk to your users. I mean, that's definitely part of every product. I mean, if you want to be successful, but what's the very first step that you want? Some thoughts on that. So
yeah, I think personally for me, the first step, and it wasn't like focused on users, but it was within like the target audience that we have. So, we really want to help startup teams, and with it more like specific within startup is teams that have technical founders, because we think EveryPage really works well for them. So before even kind of sharing our landing page, I wanted to understand better landing pages in general. So like, what does it mean for at different stages in your product development cycle? And so then I began speaking to not users, but like people in the community on indie hackers, on giving landing page feedback, because that helped me to come across different types of landing pages. What are the key sections that you need? What are people focusing on? Like, what's essential, but then what's like, it's a nice to have and it's good and it makes your page a little bit better. So really understanding both like my product and the users that could be using it, and just understanding them a bit better, and like, how do you currently make it and what works well with that, what doesn't? Because I think sometimes people might not like a specific website builder, but then they work around the issues and it's not big enough that they'd want to change to using another another service provider. So then I just wanted to really understand that and know and validate that it is a problem. So I think that was the first step, is not just like actual users of our product, but just understanding our market a bit better and how they go about, the problem that we think they might have.
And you said that you focused more on on a target audience. So, for example, that your users are startups, let's say that way. So, where do you find your users, to put it that way?
Yeah, this is a really good piece of advice I got from Ollie Meekings, who's the landing page guru at Roast My Landing Page, and he was saying, he was like, what's your target audience? And I was like, startups, technical founders. And to me, I felt like I was being quite specific, but he helped me to really narrow down, like almost to an individual level, like name this person and really like try and find this unique person. Think about the forums that they might hang out on and how you can get in front of them. So it was different things. Like, I think Indie Hackers was the most natural place that I started with, where people are working on their side projects, and they could be technical or non-technical, but just started there. And then we've joined Pioneer and Startup School, so again, naturally they'd hang around there. And then posting on like Reddit, sometimes Twitter, Hacker News. And so I think we're still learning, actually, because I think there's one recent learning is there's so many Slack channels for remote workers and startups, and just so many that your ideal customer could be on any one of those, and it's like you can't always be everywhere. So just learning how to get in front of the right users, and again at the right time, because I think personally a web page is important even before you have a product. Just when you have that idea, it's best to get it out there, and so you just don't know have people created that, and I think what I'm trying to do at the moment is do a bit more kind of talks and interact with people to understand like how they're going about it, to get to them at the right stage. So hopefully that answers the question again. I think I'm giving very long and detailed answers and then almost forgetting the question.
Well, that's no problem. I mean, we are recording the chat and we are chatting about these things. So for me, that's okay. So I know what you mean with all of those Slack groups and Slack communities. I'm pretty surprised. I was pretty surprised. I mean, I didn't consider it. I mean, I'm using Slack. We are using it for work, and but there are a lot of open big communities where you can join via Slack that have like, I don't know, thousands, tens of thousands of users, maybe not active users, but in the end, when you see the member list, it's pretty much big. And this thing about a landing page, and when you said that you should first build a landing page, I mean, that's the least expensive thing that you can actually do when you're starting. I learned this the harder way. I mean, I was in a process of learning all of this product creation and placement and everything. But as I said, I'm a developer, and with the idea that I had, so it was more like, okay, now I will build something and show it to someone what I've built, but not actually. And the landing page was like, the step of building landing page was like, okay, yeah, it will maybe I will get some use of that, and then I started doing it. But during the whole that transition process, I realized that this is the very first thing that you actually should do it, and it's pretty much cheap. I mean, you can do it even for free. I mean, with existing tools, and I don't know, based on your skills. But that's pretty much important to. I mean, this is kind of a message that I want to send to the people who are watching this and who are building their side projects. Just think about go and figure out your landing page, and it won't be perfect. It never be perfect. You will always rebuild and you will rewrite the copy. And yeah, while we are talking about that copy, so, and the content in general on the landing page, so any thoughts? I mean, I know you wrote some blog, I think, about those headlines. So what the focus there? So what do you want to? What advice do you have on that?
Yeah, sure. I think you're not alone in the sense of you're building something, you're not sure if your landing page should be up. And I think the blog post you mentioned is when I spoke to about 100 founders about when do they create their web page, and is it pre or post building their product, and how early or late do they do it? And actually more than 50% don't do it until they actually have a product. And that was just so surprising to me, because I think, I was quite new to it when I first put up a web page this year for our first product. But my co-founder's natural instinct was to build a page. And so I was like, oh yeah, obviously most people must do this then. But then more and more founders I spoke to, it's kind of like, because you're so passionate about this product, and particularly for developers, when you're building something and you're just like, let me add one more feature, let me make this feature a little bit better, and you're very much focused on that, you can forget about the landing page, and you can, delay yourself from putting it up. But all that time that you're spending building it, there could be a page up that just talks about how great it is, and people can start signing up. So when you've built this amazing thing, you've got an initial audience to launch to. So yeah, I think that's what I'm like focusing on in the last couple of weeks, is really like helping startups to understand that, not just because I'm building a web page builder, but just when I found that out, I was just kind of like, I really benefited from putting up a landing page as soon as I had an idea. And I think it's important that other people are able to soon. And actually, some of our first users have said that exact same thing. One guy actually had procrastinated about it for about 6 months. And then he was kind of like, I just sat down one afternoon with EveryPage and I really quickly got something up. And then another guy was the same. He actually started using EveryPage very early on when we weren't actually ready to launch. I had just started posting about it because I knew we were planning to launch. But he came across it and was kind of like, I'm ready to use it. And that was nice because one, it validated that, people wanted to use it. And two, then we were more building it around the actual user and really taking on feedback early on. So it just shows like anyone who's listening could be in the same position where they've got this idea and they're building it based on what they know, but perhaps not. I mean, I feel like there's never enough like user input. You could spend all day speaking to users, obviously then you won't be building anything, but just trying to balance that really and like start getting them involved as early as possible. So yeah, we definitely really benefited from that. And I think I say, sit down one afternoon and put your page up. But copy is hard, and it's not to say that the headline we first have, we still have that same headline. It's going to be, you're going to try and explain something to your users. I don't think it's ever going to make sense straight away. People are always going to have questions like, what does that word mean? Or I didn't think that this was for me based on what you said. Or, when you explain it and I talk about the team and how we're building this to kind of scratch our own itch. And they're like, oh, that's really interesting. If I had read about that on your webpage, then I might be more keen to sign up. So you're always learning. And like now we're keen to include an about us section. And so we want to update our page. So sometimes it's like weekly that you want to update your page. So you're never going to be like, this Sunday afternoon, I put my page up and I never have to touch it again. The idea is that you keep learning and you keep updating that copy so that, more and more people connect and really understand what you're doing and hopefully use your product.
Yeah, I remember. So as you said, you are updating it weekly, or I don't know. And at some point, maybe it's late night, or I don't know, you are like, okay, this is perfect. And then you sleep over it, and I don't know, 10 days passed, and you maybe don't even look at it, and just open your page, and you are like, what's this? Who wrote this? And now even you are confused what this product is. And you mentioned that you analyzed I don't know 100 pages, landing page. So besides this, not building a landing page before, what other did you spot any other let's say things that people are doing wrong when it comes to the headlines and I don't know, in general with the copy?
Yeah, I'd probably say the common things for me, I think the hero is your first kind of chance to interact with the user. They'll spend a few seconds looking at that first kind of screen on your page, and that will determine whether they want to scroll down, read more, whether they want to click your call to action button and start using it. So I think really thinking about that section and how it quickly communicates what you do and how you do it uniquely is really important, because I think sometimes you can go down the path of this is EveryPage and we build websites, but you're not connecting with why should I use you? And if I do use you, how is it going to look? So at the moment, we're getting a lot of feedback about not being able to see how the tool actually looks and how easy it is to use, because once I do a one-to-one call, for example, people will get it. So it's like, okay, so how can I now update the page so that really quickly someone can see what I do? So videos are things that tend to be missing on quite a few landing pages. But again, it depends, because if your product's not ready, you're not going to have a video. So it's not that, every page should have one. But at some stage to think about that. But really, I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier, is copy first. So you mentioned that writing I did on the headlines. It's kind of like 8 tips to just really think about. You have to keep it succinct. You don't want words all over your page, but you want to connect with your reader and you want to really show your value. And you don't want to show every single great thing about your product. You want to have your most important thing that you do really well and that really will make the user think, oh, actually, they're known to do this really well, and this is why I should use them. And then making, I think, at any stage of your product, whether you have one or you don't, there's always an action button you can have on your heroes. So, you want to start gaining interest. Not just so you have an audience, but say you have an idea and you're sharing it and people aren't signing up. It helps you to know that, okay, actually not many people are interested in this. Or if they're, not clicking to read more, you just understand that, is your copy not working, or are they just not interested? And things like a little chatbot can help with that, where it just asks you kind of do you understand what I'm doing? Or, why do you or don't you want to use a product? So really just, again, focusing around the user, making sure you're speaking to them as soon as you can. And then I think as you develop through the cycle, I think it's making sure once you have a few users that you have testimonials on your page, so that people can then say, oh, actually, they're actually got users and they're having a good experience, and really demonstrating that. I think statistics do that really well as well. If you have a mobile app, and that's another big gap I've seen recently, is that when you have a mobile app, you've obviously got the app store to show how good your product is and have ratings and stuff. But if you don't have a web page, then if people are searching for that particular type of app, it won't always come up. So having showing your ratings on your mobile app web page, for example, can really encourage downloads, for example. So yeah, I think just to summarize, probably just making sure your headline has the right words to connect your value proposition to your users. Some sort of, if you can't have a video, maybe it's just some media on your hero. And then as you progress, just making sure you're showing that, your new features, your customer testimonials, your statistics, just basically doing everything you can to communicate what you're doing and then address any objections. So, we on our page, for example, we've got, why should you use us compared to making a website yourself? And it's an obvious question that comes into your user's mind. So just want to be able to address everything that's coming into their mind, I think.
So yeah, definitely you need to convince your visitor in a split second. So why should I care about this product, or what? Well, they say to put it more like not what you are building, but what do I have from that product? What will be my benefits? So will it save me some time or some other let's say resources? And you mentioned those testimonials. Well, I have my own opinions about those testimonials. I like them when they are linked to some public statements. So if someone said like, okay, this is on a statement on LinkedIn or I don't know, post or Twitter or something like that, because now everyone is putting some kind of random faces and some random placeholders, and they are not genuine anymore. So at least that's my.
No, you're right there. You need it to be genuine. Again, you could go the opposite way, where you'd lose interest because you're kind of like, this doesn't look legit, and I'm not sure about this now.
Every page has not every page, every product that I meant. So had different stages, so that you are, I don't know, pre-launching, launching, or whatever. So you are in production. So what are your thoughts about landing page that follows those stages? Should it be the same from the start? Should it be converting? I mean, should it be adapting to the stages or?
Yeah, definitely. I think when I first kind of started thinking about product management, I read a book by Peter Yang, Principles of Product Management, and that reminded me that you're always launching. I think like whether your product's in the market or you're launching a new feature, like there's always going to be something that you need to like share and update your users on, whether you're a product like Facebook or you're a startup. I think there's always things that you're doing and launching. And so it definitely needs to change, like your landing page. You shouldn't just be thinking it's a one-off job and there you go, it's done. I think you should always be thinking, not even if you have like a new feature, but at some stage we had quite a bit of like technical jargon in our landing page, and it made people think like, oh, I don't really know how I'm going to use this, and turn them away. And so like, it's not just that I'm changing it because I'm later in my product development cycle, it's that I'm learning throughout this whole process, and I'm learning what works and doesn't work. And so I think you want to, I think for me, I'm looking at our landing page almost weekly. I would say we're quite early in the product development cycle, where we have a product, we're getting users to use it and getting feedback. And that doesn't just mean that you get the feedback and you change your product, but you also need to change what you communicate to customers. So at the beginning, it's a simple kind of title, this is what we do, subtitle, but description, and an email sign up. But once we've had users using it, that same landing page doesn't work, because you want to have a way for them to sign in and use the product, have a way for them to see what key features you have and a bit more information on why you're different. Then once that's when users are testing it, but once they've signed on and started paying and joined a paid tier, have testimonials to show how it's working. And then even kind of with your pricing, you're never really, you might want to change that when you realize, actually, I base my pricing on people wanting more and more sites, but they're happy with one site, but they want more pages within that site. So I think every time you're learning about something new, the best way to communicate it is through your landing page. I don't think it's the only thing you do. So I'll also email my users quite regularly, or I'll post about it on Twitter and things like that. But definitely, I think your landing page is the one space where like you don't know who's going to come across it and look at it at what time in the life cycle. So you just want it always sharing the right story for your product. And I think it will always change from idea stage to launch stage to actually we don't even want to use this product. And at that stage, you need to update your page to talk about, where it's moved to or what's happening with it.
I have one more question related to the landing page copy or some, but just to wrap it up. I mean, you together, I think with Matt, you started this content writing support group, and what it is about. I mean, do you have some kind of courses or whatever so to improve others' content writing, or do you provide some kind of tips and tricks? Or
I'm glad you mentioned it. Yeah. Because I think you mentioned it earlier as well, where you're a developer at the core, but when you're working on your podcast, for example, you'll have a website for it, you'll be tweeting about it, you might write a blog post about it, but that's not something that you kind of ever studied or have a natural skill for, but you need to do it for your product. And it was the same for me. It was kind of like I had to start writing to like build people's knowledge in this space and kind of communicate that well, because some people like videos, some people like to read. And so I started writing and I've never really done kind of blog posts and things like that in the past. And for me, what happened is I started writing and it became this whole story that was a mind dump for me, but for a reader, it would just be very long and boring to read and not a lot of structure to it. So I luckily found that out because I shared my content with my co-founder who gave me that feedback. But then I realized that, other people are working on this on their own. They don't get that chance for feedback. And just talking to Matt and I spoke quite regularly, so I just mentioned it to him that that's one of my struggles at the moment. I'm just trying to get better at that and structure that a bit better. And he was like, "Oh, it's the same for me, actually." And to me, I had seen he's done so much writing, and he's great at it, but he has the same problem. So then we put our minds together and we thought, how do other people feel about it? Just shared a couple of posts on like indie hackers and Twitter just to get an understanding of how people do it. Do they just, and a lot of marketers would advise me when I talk about this struggle that, just get your content out there. What's the big deal? Just write it, post it. People don't read it. People don't comment. It's not the end of the world. You'll learn. But I think there's a confidence thing because it's very new. You're not used to doing it and you just don't want to share it. It's not that anyone's gonna, tell you off about it, but it just kind of feels uncomfortable when it's not familiar territory. So it was good when I spoke to Matt. I was like, oh, there's someone else in my boat. And so, we posted about it and got similar feedback from other people. So we got marketers kind of saying that, you shouldn't be thinking like this, but then other people kind of saying, yeah, we shouldn't, but, we do, and we don't always share it. So what we thought was the best solution at that time was to create a group where people can, number one, kind of share their anything they've written and they're just looking for feedback, and then share that. And then again, if anyone comes across someone who has given good advice on how to write or shares tips on how to do that, anything like that, a forum just to share it, and it's kind of like we're all in the same boat and we can all help each other. So I'll review someone's writing, not to say I'm an expert, but just having a second pair of eyes on it gives you that confidence that, yeah, I'm ready to post this. So yeah, we've created that quite recently, and just trying to, just help each other out.
That's nice. I mean, within these communities and the groups, everyone can advance. Everyone can improve their skills, even with some, let's say, tiny effort. Or, I mean, if you are even practicing, I'm not saying everyone can become an expert, but you can definitely move yourself from zero to, I don't know, to write a decent copy that can present your product. Okay, so when we talked before the show and before you also mentioned that you launched the other product, the every page, not every page.
Every
Yeah,
size.
you launched EverySize as a test.
Yes,
Is that
yeah,
correct?
yeah.
But every page was fourth on the product at the end of the day, so fourth on the list. So
Yeah, every
what?
size was fourth on ProductHunt.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And have you launched every page?
No, so I think I talked about this syndrome earlier, but it's kind of like you want to get your product in this perfect space and then want to launch. So we're trying to balance that. Okay, what key features do we want before we launch? And then really kind of just do it then, not kind of say, oh, let's add one more or do one more thing. And we also wanted to have a few users using it before launching on ProductHunt so that we know that we've created something around our users. So I think I'm going to publicly say this, so I should hopefully hold myself to it. But by end of September, we do want to launch on ProductHunt so that we can reach a bigger community. I guess to my point earlier, it is one of the places where our potential users could be hanging out. So it is good to get it on there. I think we're just trying to build something really good before we do.
Okay, definitely drop me a link. So
yeah, definitely.
So I can share it even, and I don't know, support it. So yeah, I mean, we talked a lot of things. I wanted to just a few more questions, or maybe one question just for the closing. So this is all of this was product management, Krupali, as I would say. But what are you doing in your free time? What other things that are you doing, and who is Krupali when you are not working?
Yeah. Well, I spoke to someone the other day. We've got a little weekend away planned with some friends, and I was trying to organize the weekend. They were like, "Are you kind of a product manager full time? In your personal life, you're still trying to organize who's doing what and making sure everything's allocated to someone." So I think it's quite a natural thing about me. But yeah, I think traveling is something I enjoy. Obviously pre-COVID, so lots of holidays that I had planned, but just turning them into staycations, exploring the UK a bit more, spending lots more time at home, so doing things like painting, a bit of DIY and kind of trying to learn how to fix certain things without calling someone out to fix them, things like that. But yeah, just enjoying the UK a bit more, I'd say.
I mean, definitely it's something that you did more pre-COVID, but hopefully it will end soon and you will get back on a track.
Exactly.
Okay, so yeah, maybe for the outro and the ending, so maybe where people can find you, what you are doing. Mention whatever you want to mention, if work related, not work related, whatever you want. So
I think the best place to find me is Twitter. So I'll kind of send that to you to add in the description, but it's Krupali P55. And also on Indie Hackers, ProductHunt. I can share my email as well.
yeah, I will put definitely everything, but whatever you send me, but feel free if you want to now to, I don't know, or even call the listeners or viewers to some action.
Yeah, I'm trying to build my community on Twitter, so I'll definitely mention that one as the main one, but would love to hear, I'm sure Bruno would love to hear your thoughts, but I'd also love to hear your thoughts on anything I spoke about, anything you want to know more about, anything really.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I also hope there will be some comments or at least things that people found valuable from this episode. Okay, yeah, that was Krupali, co-founder of Kiba Labs and EveryPage. So I hope, yeah, as I said, that you could have some takeaways from this episode as well. My plan is to continue speaking with another creators from all over the world, listening to their stories, what they are doing, and who knows where it will go. Thanks, Krupali, for being my guest.
It's been so much fun. Thank you as well, and really good work with what you're doing.